Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. Today I got a special unboxing. These are my Prosport gauges. These are my water temperature and oil pressure gauges. These are going to be the 60mm units from Prosport, and they're actually the EVO Premium gauge. This, on the other hand, is going to be Mark IV Jetta specific. If you guys are here for the Mark IV content, stay tuned because that will be after this. Let's go ahead and grab these out of the box. As you can see, it's pretty nice packaging. They ship in a pretty good box. They have the JDM series gauges right here on the side, so you can check those out. Kind of like an overall view of what it's gonna look like, which is pretty cool in my opinion. I do like these boxes, even though they are somewhat of a typical version of the box, but still pretty nice looking and, you know, pretty good soft touch plastic here and all that. So this is, I'm pretty sure this is the oil pressure gauge based on the PSI there. And this is the 60mm, so it's gonna have LED for your peak and your warning lights. So that's basically the main difference between this one. This is the 60mm, you can tell by there. And if you want to have a look at what the 52s look like, they're essentially the same thing, but they do not have the warning lights, but you will still have the warning. So if you want the warning lights, as you see here, all these are the 60mm. Has all the warning lights. These will just have your controls and other stuff. But I went with 60mm because I wanted it to be a little bit more visible when I was looking at them. So let's get this box out of the way. So we're just gonna check it out and see what comes in the box. I've seen lots of kind of like reviews on these, but I've never seen a clear unboxing. This is what we came for. So you can see this one's definitely a lot bigger than the 52mm. One thing I did like about these gauges, they're more of a shallower gauge, so they'll fit in tighter locations. I guess I don't really have a reference point, but this is an iPhone 14, and you can kind of see what that is there. I guess this would be a better kind of like scaling to the back of that bezel there is what you'll have. So if you want to take a measurement, I guess there's your reference. Yeah, so this one's the oil pressure gauge. You can see one thing I like about these gauges too is that they have a piggyback system. So instead of doing it individually, wiring each gauge, you can just wire up one gauge and then send a harness from one of these pins to the new one. So that way you don't have to do too much wiring. You just do one wiring and then you have it set for the rest. So this is the oil pressure gauge again. This is the full digital version, the EVO Premium 60mm. So let's open this up here. Get you guys the view. What everyone's waiting for right here. Oh, nice, look at that. Nice box, perfect unboxing experience, might I add. I love when companies take the time to give you nice boxes and a nice unboxing experience. It's probably one of my favorite things. So this is all the accessories for the oil pressure gauge. So let's go ahead and open all this up. And here we are. So first we're going to start off with, I'm sure this is the typical or universal mounting system for each of these gauge pods, which I don't need, but if you do need, it comes with it, so don't worry about that. Here is the hood for that, so that's just gonna go over there, just like that. Here is some extra mounting and stuff, just in case you do need them, or just in case you decide to do something with this, and you just need to mount this on somewhere fast and somewhere to go. It comes with a bracket and mounting hardware, as you can see in there. Which is cool because it has these little dowels too. I'm guessing that'll screw onto the back of the nuts that are already on the gauge and then kind of extend them out a little bit, which is cool. Here's going to be our wiring harness going from the back of the gauge to the sensor, which looks pretty good. It has like weather rings right there, which is, you know, pretty good if you plan on washing your engine bay at any time. So there's that. You also get a Prosport decal, which is kind of cool. I love when companies send stickers. That's always a plus. I always feel like these are what you pay for and all this, the rest of this stuff is included. So, but Last but not least, this is our oil pressure sensor, and here's that daisy chain I was telling you about. This will be able to plug into the other gauge, so that way I don't have to run 2 wires. And your instructions also come in here as well. So here's that sensor. Pretty sure this is the standard Volkswagen thread. If it's not, you're gonna have to get an adapter for this to go onto your car, but this is the one that they gave. If you're looking at this for other vehicles, you'll definitely have to get a different adapter for it. But here is your power, your ground, and your, I'm guessing, your illumination for your other stuff. So black is ground, white I'm assuming is going to be your ignition wire, red's going to be your constant, and then orange is going to be your illumination. So if you turn this on and off, your gauge will be able to dim. And this is all just from reading their website and watching different reviews as well. But here is that daisy chain I was telling you guys about. So the way this works is it'll just plug into your pod. Once this is plugged into your pod, you can run this. Hopefully your other gauge will be close, and then that'll just plug in the same way into the back. So that's pretty cool. It saves you a lot of time and probably a lot more money not wiring everything, so it's a pretty good deal. So this is going to be the instructions for the oil pressure gauge. Not a lot of people show this on their videos, but I'm going to give you guys a second to look at it here so you guys can screenshot this if anything, if you want to read it off camera or once you finish watching this video. So this is the oil pressure side, and here is the oil / water temperature side. So everybody that wants to know, if you were to get a boost gauge, I'm sure you would get all the necessary instructions and things you would need to run it. Obviously from car to car it's going to be different to how easy it is. Like for instance on a Mark IV Volkswagen like mine, Jetta, Golf, whatever, VR6 2.0 18T, this looks like it can literally just thread in, and then our harness would just be able to go clip on, and then you could just run the wires for a more easy installation. Again, this is just the unboxing of this whole thing. I'll have to get back to you guys when I install it, which will be a different video. So if you want to watch that video, go to my channel and drop a subscribe, and go ahead and comment if you guys have any suggestions for what you guys want to see. So we're done with this. I'm gonna just pack all this back up into this box, put everything back safely, and then we can get to the water temperature gauge. And also, before I put all this away, this is what the hood's gonna look like on here. The premium series hood is gonna be a little bit longer than the regular series. I think the hood ends about right here on the regular ones, but as you can see how deep this is, it'll come pretty handy if you put this somewhere the light's gonna shine on it. And I think for my application, I'm gonna have to run both of these on both gauges. But if you are here for the Mark IV platform, you'll be able to see what gauge pod I ran. And I hope you guys are excited for that, because I don't think I've ever seen it on another car. So just for reference, this is what it'll look like. The way it works is it kind of goes behind the bezel here. So if you do have a depth you're trying to keep, just watch your number there. But it doesn't add too much onto the gauge itself. I would say maybe this is like an 1/8 inch that's in here for that lip. Unboxing is going to be just as similar as the previous one. You pull this out, pull out the lip here, and these shipped out to me. I actually ordered from them at like 9 AM Pacific time, or it was actually like 9:30, but they shipped out, even though the Eastern time I was like 30 minutes late for same day shipping. They shipped out that day, which I was pretty excited about, because, well, if you guys are like me, I'm very impatient when it comes to car things. So here's the water temp gauge. As you can see, it's no different as the other one. These are going to be the digital version, so it's mostly going to be black when you're looking at it and it's not on, just like how it is now, which I kind of favor, because some of them on their websites had like smoke lenses. Some had clear, like you can see on here, or smoked lens is what they would call it. These have smoked lens. So some have like a darker smoke lens, so when the lens is off you can't really see much, kind of like how this is. But I like how this is, because even though it is off you can't see much, because sometimes The dials on the inside of regular gauges like to fade out if they're sitting in the sun. So I'm interested to see how this is gonna hold up with like regular use and sun exposure. So we're gonna get our little water temperature gauge package out here. And they do label it, so if you do order a couple of these, water temp gauge, oil pressure gauge, so you'll be able to keep organized. And also the backs are labeled as well. Now these do have a dimmable feature. I'm not sure how I'm gonna get that to work. I'll have to do a little bit more reading and get back to you guys, or you guys will see that on the installation portion of this video, or the installation, the second part to this video. So again, we have some more 3M strips in there, mostly because all of these gauges are typically friction mounted, so they just go in and they hold there. Like I said, it comes with another mounting bracket, so you can, you know, if you wanna get fancy with your mounting, you can. So, same thing, typical mounting, typical bracket. The harness for the sensor itself, which is a little bit different. The pressure one was a 3-prong, this one's a 2-prong, so you can distinct the two even if you have them in the bay. Another premium hood, like I said, that premium's gonna have that curve there. And this is realistically what is the main difference. Another daisy chain, as you can see, if I had a 3rd gauge, we'd be able to just hook it up and run it there, but this is gonna be the water temperature gauge. As you can see, it says JPN. I'm not sure if that's Japan or what, but it is a 1/8 inch NPT. I'm gonna have to check on the Mark IV if you guys are here for the Mark IV. I'm gonna use this on my VR6. I don't know if this will plug into my aluminum crack pipe. And yes, I said that correctly, it is a crack pipe. I'm not sure if it's an 1/8 inch or a 1/4 inch, so when I drain the coolant and check that out, that'll be a good spot to run that, because that's kind of by the water pump, and it'd be nice to see what the temperatures were by the water pump as to oppose of the high or the upper radiator hose or the lower radiator hose, because chances are it'll be a lot hotter next to the water pump, so that'll be a good place to check it. But again, that's going to be in the installation video, which is going to be a whole other section. And you have another wiring harness here, and like I said, the daisy chain to make it easy to install another one. The instructions, I'm assuming, are going to be exactly the same. Yes, oil pressure gauge and oil temperature gauge, and the back is just going to have operating instructions. Here you go, if you guys wanted to see this. Color mode, peak mode, warning mode, brightness mode, and sound. So this will be all you need to know. So go ahead and screenshot this if you need to. This is going to be all the stuff that you need to know. As you can see, I think the newer ones work on the front toggle system now. The previous ones, I believe, were just the rear toggle and you had to go in there and change it. But it's good that it's through this, which I would prefer, because I would hate to get these all mounted up and then be cruising at night and say, oh well, I need it to be a little bit darker, now I got to take off the 3M tape I had applied and redo the whole thing. So this is essentially, you know, all you need to know right here, which I didn't see anyone show in the previous videos that I've watched for this. And again, these are the 60 millimeters. I'm not sure how it's going to vary when it comes to the 52 millimeters, but I would definitely check it out. I don't think it'll be much difference, mostly because the only thing that differs between the 60 millimeters and the 52 millimeters are just going to be the warning lights there, visually wise at least. But as you can see, they just have those LEDs there, and these are just the regular buttons. So don't quote me or anything, but that's all I can tell you. There's a bunch of other videos on YouTube as well showing how these would connect. So as you can see, they even explain the daisy chain here. It shows you where to put it as well, so that's good to know. So I'm going to just try and hook this up to my battery pack real quick and see if I can get a startup for you guys, just for a second at least. So we're gonna hook it up just like it says. Keep that here. We'll put this one in here, just like that. And this is per the instructions, guys. There's some glare, so it'll kind of give you a simulation of what it would look like during like outside runs. So that's essentially what startup's gonna look like for you guys. So there we go, start up again. And that's essentially how it looks. That's the white background. I'll try to cycle through and show you guys the different colors. Again, start up again. So there's red, here's green, this is blue. As you can see, it's fairly bright. I mean, even in the sun's glare, if I were to put it right. And again, you'll be able to adjust this the way you want, but this is just the opening ceremony for that. And again, there's blue, there's green, there is the red again, and there is white. So overall, not too bad, pretty good looking. I like how they light up as well. The different colors are pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty much how they light up. So now on to the Mark IV stuff, but that's it for the gauges, guys. If you guys were here just for the gauges, that's pretty much done. This is something I've never seen on a Mark IV before. I'm not sure how new it is, but when I found it, I was like, wow, I must have it. So shout out to CJM Industries for sending this to me. Obviously, you guys know what it is, the gauge pod for 60 millimeters. There isn't a lot of 60 millimeter gauge support for Volkswagens. A lot of it is in the vent stuff, so it's gonna be a lot smaller gauges, but this I'm pretty excited for. And I will be test fitting it as well. So if you guys are looking at the Prosport gauges, you know, for your car, and you guys like how this is mounted, then well, go ahead and hit them up and they'll take care of you. Like I said, this shipped out to me pretty quickly. Right as I ordered it, they literally shipped it out a couple of hours later. As you can see, we paid for the sticker here, and we also got a free airhead, so you know, and you also get instructions here. So without fully spoiling the whole thing, let's just go ahead and unbox everything. Now, by the looks of this piece, depending on how into Mark IVs you are, you can kind of sense what's going on here just by that piece there. Now this is the moment of truth. And again, they make these for 52 millimeter and 60 millimeter gauges. So if you do want to just run a 52, then by all means go ahead. But this is what I went with. Now, this is a matte black kind of, it is matte black looking, and I don't know if you guys can see it, but it has a little bit of the 3D print texturing onto it. So this is 3D printed from them. No, they do not sell the file, so do not hit them up for it. It's literally in their question and answer. But this is 3D printed. They did even take the time to install rivets into here, which is pretty good engineering by me. I thought maybe they were just self-tapper screws, so good on them for that. So if you want to put some fancy screws in there, you definitely can, but I'm gonna just keep these screws in there and just run it this way. Now, if you do want more of a show quality finish, then by all means you're free to sand this and paint it. Oh, there you go. You can kind of see the texture there. It has like, it just has a texture to it. So essentially, what I'm hoping is this is how, oh look at that. Little Easter egg there from CJM, sorry. But look at that, that's pretty cool. That's how you know it was for you. Anyway, so this will go there. Even the cutout on this is recessed to receive the countersunk screws, which is pretty cool. Alrighty, and that goes in pretty easy. If you had a screwdriver, these would go in easier, so don't think they don't line up, because they do. It's just, I don't want to pause the camera to go get a screwdriver. I'm not going to fully tighten this down yet because I still need to figure out what I'm going to do about this finish, if I'm going to keep it this way or what. But this is going to come super in handy for the fact that well, one, it has gussets in here. Not sure if you could tell. This is one thing I was worried about too, is how rigid this whole structure was going to be. So you can't really tell too much on camera because the sun is going down and it's slightly, I'm losing light in here. So you can kind of see the gussets in there, kind of holding it together, making sure it's not gonna collapse on this end, which is pretty cool. And I'm not sure how 3D printing works, but I hope this can stand the temperature it's gonna reach when I have the heater on and the AC on. So I guess that'll be a test for later. But I'm gonna pull out this gauge and we're just gonna kind of test fit and see how it looks in there. So as you can see, it's shallow enough to receive this. So this is essentially how it'll sit in the vent. It'll sit mostly kind of like that. And it does protrude a little bit, but nothing too serious, nothing that's overly concerning, and it is a bit oversized, which I'm actually glad that they sent me the correct one, because I was gonna order through ECS Tuning, but I don't know if you guys know how ECS Tuning is, so I went through the website instead. But yeah, they do have kind of like a loose fit in there, maybe like a 16th oversize. That's how they'll sit. You can just imagine the other one sitting over here. And what I was saying about the daisy chain earlier is the fact that you can literally run your power off of this one to this one. So that way you're not running so many wires in there for the other gauge, even though there is a quite big amount of space to accept it. That's maybe like 3/4 by like 1.5 inches in there. So you do have the space to run as many wires as you want, but it'll make it easier so that all you'd have to do is run the sensor wire and the daisy chain to this one, and all of these wires will just go straight down into there. So that's pretty much it for basically this unboxing of everything. I'm gonna go ahead and take all this back apart. Yeah, if you guys want these gauges, go ahead and hit up Prosport. You can check them out on Instagram, but honestly, their website's probably a little bit better. I'd recommend going on like your laptop, because their website's made for like bigger computers, not for your mobile, which you'll see once you load it in. Like I said, if you guys want this gauge pod, they do make it in 52mm and 60mm gauges. And they also do have a single and a double. So if you just want to run one, or if you want to run two, they make the 52mm and 60mm in singles and doubles. Alright guys, so this is going to be the install process essentially for the gauge. If you want to check this out, I do think they do have a colored version of this on their website, so if you do want to check that out. As you can see, this will be for all gauges. It doesn't matter which brand or whatever. And like I showed you guys earlier, this is pretty deep, so it could accommodate the gauges. I will say these probably go in, let's see if I kind of follow it with my finger, maybe about like right here. So there's maybe an inch and a quarter left back there. So if you really wanted to fit something longer, or if you do have older gauges that are longer, these will fit fine. I don't know if you guys saw with the hood earlier, but I guess this will be with hood and without hood. And this is gonna sit more of it out of an angle. So since the vent's gonna be sitting down kind of flat like this, these will be more out of an angle, so you can kind of picture what it's gonna look like that. Pretty cool. I would show you guys the test fit, but that's gonna be the next video. So if you guys want to see that video, then go ahead and subscribe and be sure to have the post notifications on so you can see when I post a video too. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.